I'm going to use my trusted Yamaha Pacifica, which I've had forever, and honestly I love this guitar. It's like an old friend. It just works out when I go to record. Hi everyone, welcome to the studio. It's Martin from Meyer Street Records. I hope you're keeping well. Today in this video we're going to be carrying on with recording a song together. It's a song that I've written. I think we're on part 6 now. So far we've recorded the guide track, which is basically the piano and a vocal recorded to click. I've done the actual piano takes, I've done the acoustic guitar takes, the bass takes, the cajon for percussion, and also the main vocal. So today we're going to do the electric guitar, and I'm going to show you how I record it and really how simple it can be to add some fun and some depth and some interest into a track. So let's do that. So before I actually start recording the electric guitars, there's 3 things that I like to try and have done. Now, first of all, it goes without saying, make sure your guitar is in tune. You'll be surprised how many times I've started doing a recording and then noticed the guitarist or whatever I was recording wasn't in tune. And from experience, make sure you're the one in charge of that. So when you're listening to your recordings, or if it's someone else you're recording, make sure that you're in tune and things are going to be fine along the way. If there's a duff note and you notice it too late, you're going to have to go back and re-record. So it goes without saying, try and have fresh strings and make sure your guitar's in tune. Second thing to think about is, what instrument are you going to use? Yes, there's loads of guitars. You can probably go to some studios and there's a whole library of them. Get to know what you feel will make the right tone for what you're trying to achieve. They play differently, etc. But of course, if you're recording a session guitarist or a band, they're going to have their own anyway. But even as the engineer, you can still put a bit of input and say, why don't we try it with this guitar? They might be surprised. So do your own research, make sure you know how things sound. In today's recording, I'm going to use my trusted Yamaha Pacifica, which I've had forever, and honestly I love this guitar. It's like an old friend. It just works out when I go to record. It stays in tune, which is really important, live or in the studio. And yeah, it's just an all-round lovely sounding guitar. So very happy with this little bad boy, which I've had nearly 20 years. The last part is how you're going to actually record the guitar. Today, I'm not going to go through an actual amplifier. I'm going to use a guitar effects unit, which I've had forever. It's a Line 6 Pod XT Live. I've used it live. Didn't really like it too much live. I prefer a real amp. But in the studio, it's great. It's got exactly the tones I want, from sort of like semi-distorted to full-on overdrive, to some amazingly clean sounds as well. But there's loads on the market. Just figure out what works for you. You'll be surprised how many big records don't use big amplification to record electric guitars, especially these days. So that's what I'm doing. But when you record yourself or you record your next session, have a think about that first. Again, it goes without saying, once you commit to that tone and you have that confidence, stick with it, because that's the one you're going to use on the record. There's no point halfway through changing your mind. You're going to have to redo everything. So take your time with the whole tone process, the choosing of guitar and the tuning of your guitar. It will definitely pay off as your session progresses and things get closer to a deadline to finish your recording. So I'm just going for a bit of a distorted, but not too much. And all I'll do is strum the chords, open chords, to the chorus, okay? And I'll make 2 recordings as if there were 2 rhythm guitars. And when I put them in the mix, one will go left hard, one will go right, and that way we'll create a lovely wide stereo image of those parts. So let's record those. Ought to be all alone, 'cause you were gone when I needed you to stay here. Left alone and defeated, Cool, so that's done. I'll make one more recording of the same thing, and I'll do that on each chorus because I think there's 3 of them all together in the track, just to give it that human feel. I could copy and paste, but I don't like to do that if I don't have to. And so yeah, it's a bit more time consuming, but I think worth it. So electric guitar part 1 done. Now it's time to do some picking. And for that, what I'm gonna do is record this part first, which is gonna sound like this. That'll be recorded on one side, and then the other side I'm going to play another part which is going to sound like this. Okay, so let's record those, and hopefully they'll complement each other.
Yeah, baby, always it's you and me. 'Cause you are gone when I need it. You just stay left and alone and defeated. Yeah, baby,
cool, and the next one?
always it's you and me. 'Cause you are gone when I need it. You just stay left and alone and defeated in the...
Okay, cool, so let's have a listen to those just on their own, so you can hear what's happened. Here we go.
me.
Nice. And then within the mix as a whole, from the top.
Me. 'Cause you are gone when I need it. You just stay left and alone and defeated in the...
Nice, so very happy with that, because what that's doing, it just gives interest during the chorus. The vocal is still the forefront, but the picking just gives melody, a bit of emotion, which is important. And the guitar parts just play off each other, I feel, really nicely. So I'll keep that, and happy with the sound as well. I've gone for an imitation of a Vox AC30, a relatively cleanish sound for that. I'll record the same part again on the other choruses, and then we'll get to the last guitar part. So I always believe with every good song there has to be an ending, or in a way a conclusion to the story, and in this case the guitar hooks are going to be that ending, and I'm going to play 2 different guitar parts to replace the previous 2 hooks. Again, one will go left, one will go right. The first one is going to be this to the chorus. And the second part is going to be this, which will play on top of the other one I just done. Sounds a little weird on its own, so let's record that.
You just stay. I really needed you to stay. I really needed
And then the second guitar part.
you to stay. I really needed you to stay. I
That's great, okay, and then they will sound like this. Let's have a listen to these. On their own, first of all. Half pan left and right. Cool, and then on the overall track sound, it will sound like this. So this is all together.
I really needed you to stay. I really needed you to stay.
Cool. I'm really happy with that, to be honest with you. It's in a way, it's got a goodbye now, the track, and a bit of a sorrow feeling, which is kind of what I want to get from this song. For me, it's a real deep personal track, and yeah, one I hope when you hear the whole thing, maybe you can relate. But that's what songs are about, really. People can just create a picture themselves for their own life and scenario. But I think recording these guitar parts, as you can see, it's relatively simple as long as you have a commitment to your sound, a commitment to the instrument, and a commitment to the parts you actually want to record on your song. I've heard many documentaries and interviews of mixers that have received all the tracks from a recording session to mix, and they've said, which is the guitar solo? And there's like 10 of them, and they'd never really know, because I guess people went a bit crazy in the studio to try and get as many takes as possible. But I don't know, I'm a believer in commitment, and you have to really decide that's the sound, that's the part, I think. Or maybe I just like the easy life, who knows. But anyway, I hope this video has given you a bit of an insight. I'm going to obviously now listen back to this, these recordings I've just done, be fully sure that I'm happy with them, because I treat this as my tracking sessions. And although I'll be sending my mix to myself to mix, I'd like to treat it as if I was about to send it to another engineer to mix instead, meaning that I need to be fully happy at this point before I send it off. So that's what I'll do for the rest of the day, but I think a cup of tea is in order and a bit of a break for my ears. And I, again, thank you for sticking with me. I don't make any money from these videos. I do it just to give you some inspiration possibly, or some insights to what I do to maybe help yourself. So please hit the like, please subscribe, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Keep yourselves well and take care. See ya. Bye for now.
I really needed you to stay. I really needed you to stay.